Connecticut, I'm surprised at you. They're saying $1 million. $1 million? If you've seen two, you've seen them all. Now listen, look at this. Jessica Hahn. Look at this. Boy, I'll tell you, Jessica, I don't know whether this is any fun for you or not. Here's this morning's Post as we speak. Her folks are mad. And Newsday wants you to know she's got 1 million clams for Playboy. Well, Jessica, I read the Playboy piece, and this sounds as grim as it would get for anybody, any female 20 years old. It's a very, very distracting and detailed and sordid picture of two people who, according to your account, forced themselves on you. I mean, if this is certainly as close to rape as anything I ever read in literature. I don't think you're calling it that. You had your wine. I asked you to have a glass of wine. You were the little church secretary who cleaned the toilets, you know, from Long Island, and loved your little brother, were very sheltered socially. You claimed to be a virgin. Now you're in the company of Jim Bakker, who you've seen on television, and not only do both of them are both of them intimate with you in many ways. You talk about forced oral sex in this interview with Playboy. Then they go on television that afternoon on their telethon and say what a great rest they had, the two of them. You feel sick and your back is scratched and you're lying there in your robe. You get in the other twin bed or queen-size bed because this one's all messed up. When Fletcher comes in, and then he leaves and a third guy comes in, you're telling Playboy readers. He sees that you're in not such good shape and he makes no attempt to have you, as it might be put. And then you had 7 years of a quiet life, and suddenly the PTL empire collapses. Jerry Falwell's in it now, and you're on the cover of everybody's magazine, and here comes the church secretary, and you're naked. Why'd you do this? Why are you naked in this magazine?
I had a choice, and I decided to do it for me. It came a time, Phil, where I felt that there was no way I was going to live for these people anymore. There was no way I was ever going to look in the mirror and see John Fletcher or Jim Bakker ever again. I wanted to look in the mirror, and I wanted to see Jessica Hahn, and I did it strictly for me.
I don't pretend to be the first to make this point. Jim Bakker's able to say, see, here's the little girl, the innocent little girl, who claims that I this and I that. Now we know the truth.
Well, if you read a little further, then I could say, see, what about what Jim Bakker preaches? You know, what about throwing a woman on a floor and doing what he did to a woman? You know, what he did made me feel dirty. What I did there did not make me feel dirty. I feel right about what happened, about the pictures. I chose to do the pictures. That was a choice that I was given.
You really appear to have a lot of rage. You said if he brought you a flower, he never even said he liked you. I think you're claiming here he never touched you in any endearing way. Is that right?
I don't believe Jim Bakker knows what love is. I really don't. I believe I had said in the story, if he had gone downstairs and came up with a flower and said, Jessica, I messed up, I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. I'm sorry. He might still have PTL. I wanted, you know, when you give somebody a flower, that says this person can smell that flower, they can see that flower, they can feel that flower. That represents that whoever you're giving that to is human. I was not human in Jim Bakker's eyes, and I was not treated as human.
You know, at this moment, Shear from the LA Times, you get two interviewers here. You know, at this moment, I just want to say, he says to you in this interview, I don't see how this can run with the pictures you want to do.
both he and...
And then Golson says, Bob's not on salary from Playboy. I am. This is the guy from Playboy. Did he actually say this? Here we have a guy from Playboy saying, we'll run the story. Can you imagine? A guy from Playboy is saying, maybe we better not show the picture.
But that's the truth. Barry Golson, who is the executive editor, said this to me, and both he and Bob said, Jessica, how are you going to run this story with pictures? And I said, look, I need to do this. I really do. It's come to a place where I'd like people to see me as what God created me to be. If they're going to look at me the way the press created me to be, a woman in tight jeans, a woman on the floor, she wears boots, she wears tight jeans, she's done this, she's done that, well, let them look at me my way. You know, the way God created me. What God created is good and beautiful. Man perverts it with his own eyes. You know, I don't see the human body as being anything bad.
Right. Jessica, it is getting rough, however, and this is not so funny. A grand jury is investigating your lifestyle and the lifestyle of Profero, I think is how it's pronounced, the reverend who heads the church of which you are a member. Now, when they come after me, I want a presumption of innocence, just as you're entitled to have, and I give you that. But you'll understand my raising this point. A grand jury in... My mic fell, sorry. A grand jury in Albany is investigating the nature of your lifestyle in connection with income taxes. So now we've got a grand jury who's wondering aloud anyway, an investigation, wondering aloud whether you've paid income taxes. Now we are in print with the suggestion that you are Profero's lover. And it gets worse. Testifying at this grand jury on the income tax are two males who claim to have been your boyfriends over the past recent months. No scandal there. These are single males. But one of them is saying you weren't a virgin at the time this happened.
Let me tell you something.
I'm almost finished. Here's my point. I'll give you a chance, because I know this is real complicated. In the middle of all this, you've got your parents. Your mother is saying, my God, if her stepfather has a heart attack over these pictures, I'm going to kill her. And now comes guys who claim to have been guests in your apartment, and you're, that you've been to Jersey and you've gambled and that you have a lot of nice clothes. I'm not saying I know what's true. I am saying that I have to wonder out loud whether you've made the best choices for yourself given the situation in which you found yourself.
When I did Playboy, I was well aware that I was going to become an open book. As far as this story and this scandal sheet, I won't even dignify by commenting on that. That is not true. Okay, I will say that is not true. I've noticed since this has happened that people that when I was on the brink of suicide, no one cared. No one wanted to know about it. But when things are going my way, all of a sudden everybody is coming out of the woodwork. Everybody wants to. I shake your hand and I'm sleeping with you. I bring you a glass of water and I'm sleeping with you. I am tired of it. And I will say that this is the very reason that I'm here today and that I'm doing what I'm doing, that I did what I did in Playboy, is because I believe in myself. God keeps the records. I know it happened. People are coming from all over the country, four corners, saying, I know Jessica Hahn. I slept with her, or I saw her do that. So what? That's not true. What I will say is that with my mom, I love her, and she loves me. And in March, when this happened, you have to remember, she did not know about this in 1980. I kept it from her for this reason. I did not want her hurt. I did not want her exposed to this, and I tried to protect her. This is too much for her. It overwhelms her, and it hurts her. She can't handle it. There's so much happening. And I love my little brother with all my heart, and I would do nothing to hurt him. But the bottom line is, and the press, it's funny, they don't report this part. I said this before, but they only report I'm going to kill her. Bottom line is, I love my mother, and she loves me. And I don't care what anybody says. They can't tell me my relationship with my mother, okay? As far as anything else that's printed, Phil, I guarantee you, within the month, there's probably going to be 1,000 more people that are going to say they slept with me. No one has lived in my shoes. I've lived 8 years of hell, and I'm not about to back down and take threats from people that have something hanging over on me or they think they have something. I'm sick of it. I lived like that for a long time. Well, that time is over. Now I'm getting on with my life. If I have to do it alone, fine.
Well, we have to be impressed with your anger about this. I mean, I'd be upset myself. Tax probe zeroes in on Jessica and Preacher. And then Secret Lovers. Your mom is upset. You don't deny that. Anybody's mom would be upset.
If
they took their clothes off in Playboy. Well, some mothers
no,
would.
I mean, no, forget about my clothes off in Playboy.
Happened?
I'm talking about with the whole ordeal.
But I mean at you. I mean, she sounds angry at you.
She's probably, she's confused and probably hurt that I didn't go to her. And that's it. I'm not going to make more out of this.
Yeah. You found Mr. Barbara in the newspaper, and you called him. He's a lawyer. You read about him in the Long Island paper.
Right, and...
Boy, that's hitting the jackpot if you're a lawyer, isn't it?
He's my miracle. You know...
I can't prove this. I cannot prove what I'm about to say. And viewers of this program will confirm that I have been known to be wrong. I do not believe you got $1 million from Playboy.
As a lawyer, it's very rare that I have nothing to say. But I will say to you that Jessica was paid very substantial dollars by Playboy, number one. And we have in our agreement that we're not allowed to confirm the amount. But let me assure you, she was well paid, yes.
Okay. Are you feeling good? Is there a man in your life? Are you going to go down the little white church?
I'm really going to have a man in my life now. I mean, we'd really have privacy. No, I have nobody in my life. I mean, I'm a little busy.
Now, but Jessica, you threw a strike at the New York Post. I mean, who wouldn't put this on the front page? Holy cow, I couldn't wait to read it myself. And people know I don't have a dirty mind. It's a drama that has a innocent, beautiful young woman, pompous, hypocritical preachers, television money and phoniness. He took his robe off, or took his terry cloth bathing suit off and said, what about the shepherd?
When you help the shepherd, you're helping the sheep.
If you had it to do over again, after this event...
After which event?
After this terrible incident in Florida, what would you do differently?
If I had...
If you could start this strategy of healing, of bringing yourself back from the ashes and this emotional turmoil.
I probably would have gone to somebody more professional. I would have sought professional help one way or another, either legally or spiritually or whatever. I would have opened up about it more.
See, now we're left to wonder, were you a virgin before this happened? I mean, this is not getting raped twice. Women say they get raped once and then they get raped by the people who try to blame the victim. You're getting raped, it seems to me, in public many times over. You've got boyfriends now claiming that they've been up to your apartment. You've got
people... these people, let me make this straight. These people are acquaintances. These are people that, I've met, had barbecues with. I didn't sleep with these people. This is just a good story. It has my name, and that's it. What I will say is that this is going to continue to happen. I don't enjoy this part of it. The biggest thing that I do enjoy is the thing that happened in Playboy, that I had an opportunity to finally tell my story.
Yeah.
When I went to Playboy, they said, Jessica, just give us your story. The pictures were, were optional. I made that decision alone.
Yeah.
That is the bright side of this, that it's there. Now, anybody who wants to know about it, read it. It's not.
Did you see an interview with your mother on Current Affair, and how did it make you feel?
All I know is how my mom felt, and again, I love her so much, and I would do nothing to hurt her.
Well, obviously, I don't know what happened or what didn't happen, but I think you've got a lot of guts to come out and tell your story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to ask, what happened in the 7 years in between?
There was a lot of time for me to think, and I went through a lot of emotions, and it was a living hell for the most part. It really was.
Yeah. Why did it take 7 years?
Because I was constantly being told that I would end up hurting the whole kingdom of God if I
I'd like
opened my
to
mouth.
know how the encounter with Baker and Fletcher has affected her religious beliefs.
My faith is actually improved. It's stronger than ever because I no longer worship God's representatives, but I worship God.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, ma'am.
in view of the devastation it has caused your family, if you thought about it, would you do it again?
Would I
Do what again now?
The Playboy.
Playboy piece.
I know they understand why I did it, or they will, and I would have no problem doing Playboy again.
Yes.
Jessica, I know you're angry about being called a bimbo. I read the article in Playboy. But what I don't understand is why did you market yourself in a bimbo magazine?
Let me first say,
How do you agree?
I agree wholly.
Tell her how you feel.
For a girl who speaks so articulate and seems to think that she is now exploiting her body but in all innocence to show the public, why couldn't you pick a magazine like Cosmopolitan or Ladies' Home Journal instead of a book such as this?
first of
For
all,
all the men
Playboy,
and all the dirty men on 42nd Street, as well as the other people in the United States and elsewhere who look at.
Playboy is one of the classiest magazines out, and I want to tell you something. Let me explain something. Can I finish my answer, please?
Yes, please.
That I've had offers from other publications that would have liked me to wire myself and do things that a bimbo would do. Playboy wanted the truth.
I am told that a tabloid wanted to wire you and wanted you to go and seduce Baker.
They wanted to wire me and to have me talk to Jerry Falwell and find out all the inside secrets, and Jim Bakker and Jimmy Swaggart, and find out all I needed to know to destroy their, whatever. And Playboy gave me all of the choices and the opportunities.
Jessica, I'm not passing judgment on your posing nude. However, all it does to everybody around us is to collaborate the stories and encourage more stories.
Do you think that for a moment that did not cross my mind, that that is the most obvious, no, I know what you're saying, but it is the most obvious thing that for a woman who has gone through what I have gone through, and to pose semi-nude would apparently hurt my credibility. Do you think I didn't think of that? My story, I know what I am. I really do. And I have no problems with what I did. I know what I am.
Over here.
Jessica, I don't know how to say this, but if Playboy didn't offer you any money, would you have done it?
I'll tell you something. I was down to nothing. No one was coming to my side. I had a lot of offers from different people they were very generous, just like Playboy. I chose Playboy because of the way they said, Jessica, we want your story. No wires, no gimmicks, no nothing. We'd like your story and the pictures of your choice. Money, we all like it, and we all need to survive, and I would be lying to you if I said that didn't matter. I needed it, and I very much appreciate the chance to have something that I could live on for a while.
Is there a caller there? Go ahead, caller.
The issue is not Jessica Hahn posing nude in Playboy or Jessica Hahn's past. The issue is that a minister, an evangelical minister, taking money from the public, a married man, went and had sex with a woman who was not his wife while trying to tell his flock that that was wrong. More power to someone like, people like Jessica Hahn, who expose these pious jerks that are on TV.
These pious jerks that are on TV. Yes.
The only thing that bothers me about the Playboy thing is that if this guy really did rape you, and it sounds like rape to me, I've never heard you say rape, but it sure sounds like rape. If he really did, then he should be punished for this in some way, and you're gonna kind of ruin your credibility, and he's not going to get what he deserves.
I've gotten to a place where is anybody or any of the critics paying my bills? I know I should care what you think, and I do, to a point is I don't want to hurt anybody. But I'll tell you something. Everybody is focusing on the pictures and the credibility. I'll tell you something. I lived it, and that's enough. And I dare anybody here, I dare anybody to live in my shoes for one day. The story is as important as the pictures, and the pictures are as important as the story.
Why what? Why the pictures they want?
The pictures are important.
Why the pictures?
Because I want to tell you something. What God created is good. It's beautiful. It should be appreciated. It should be cherished. No? I'm sorry. When you take Jessica Hahn and you take her story and you take all of the juicy stuff, well, you have to take her faith too. And I believe what God created is good, and I was tired of being seen as some kind of slut or seducer. I wanted to be seen as a woman who's something good. And
I might just
I am not playing a game. I'm saying to myself, and that's who I decided is most important for the first time. I'm saying, Jessica, am saying, I'm not a slave to these men for the rest of my life, and to me, that is my step in life. To do this in Playboy, which is probably the most ironic, the most far-fetched idea for somebody who is a church secretary, is probably unbelievable to people. But it is a step for me, because why on God's earth should I let Jim and John run the rest of my life, run my mind and run my body, when they tossed it about and couldn't have cared less what they were doing to me? It's ironic. In the Christian world, when a person is struggling, he can turn to the church and things are okay. I was in the church and things got screwed up, and then I did this and got okay. It's ironic, the order of things.
Phil, may I just make one point? All of us are deeply offended by what Baker did. All of us. There isn't a person in this room who doesn't hate it. But I question, is anyone really offended by what Jessica did in the magazine? I mean, personally offended?
Yes, they are.
From a heart?
Well, you know, you may not agree with it, but apparently we have a number of people in the audience that don't think women should take their clothes off and have the picture taken. Is that part of what you're...
I think she made a joke out of it. She could have talked to the public. She did not have to be naked.
What?
I just want to know how we can really pass judgment on her for this, because, I mean, here's a woman who was brutally raped. And first of all, $1 million doesn't come close to compensating for that. Well, we're going to spend the whole time talking about this and not talking about that. Here's a man who makes his money passing judgment on other people, Jim Bakker, and doing this kind of thing behind the scenes. And we're going to spend a full hour talking about...
What was he saying anything? This is John. This is John, the second visitor to the room. He's yelling, "You're not going to forget me. You're going to forget Jim, but you're going to remember me." That's all he kept saying. So by now I'm crying and screaming because of the pain. I'm praying that somebody will walk by. I'm looking at this man's face, and for a split second I thought, he's going to kill me. That's what I thought. He's going to break my neck. He's going to do something. I can't take this pain. His hands were so close to my neck, I thought, my God, what's to stop him? Because he was so crazy, and he's going on and on and on. I just couldn't stand it. But I shut up because I was afraid he was going to kill me.
What I don't understand is why it did take the 7 years. I can't imagine you carrying around this guilt and this pain
Well, you
immediately.
are aware that there was a payoff by the PTL.
Yeah.
A promised $265,000, of which you claim to have received $20,000 in cash, plus some monthly payments, which added up to an unknown amount. You also claim that of $120,000 given to you, Paul Roper, the attorney who brokered this arrangement with PTL, took $95,000. Is that what you're on record as saying?
That's correct.
Except that Mr. Roper was not an attorney, by the way.
He was in law school.
He was in law school. He was not an attorney.
So why not just go to the police? I mean, it takes two to tango.
You know...
If it was really that brutal, go to the police.
My church is real important, and Jim Bakker wasn't exactly a nobody in the Christian world, and people didn't need to know about that. And I was constantly reminded, Jessica, if do you want to be responsible for what happens to PTL? Do you want to be responsible if Jim Bakker puts a gun to his head? I didn't want that responsibility. I did not know.
But he wasn't worried about you?
Obviously he wasn't, but I was worried about the church people.
It seems like if you had gotten your original $295,000, you'd never be here. And that, again, it was the money and Playboy.
I had a story about
I'm still trying to figure out why you're mad at her. Let me understand
You know,
it.
what is wrong?
Are you mad that she took her clothes off? Do you believe she was victimized by two males in Florida? What?
That's only her word. There's no proof. Number one, if she accepted money, that makes the bottom line, it makes her a prostitute. Number two, how come, if she was so traumatized, how come she remembers everything so well?
You know,
I don't know if that's
I lived this for 8 years, and I dare you to live in my shoes for 2 days. You wouldn't make it. And I'm telling you that right now, that you could not make it. And I don't believe, and if I've learned anything from this, and Phil, this is important for me to say, that when people are hurt and taken advantage of, who says that they should sit in a corner and be depressed and be a slave to their problems? I believe that people should be able to get on with their life and not allow people to take advantage and manipulate them. And I finally woke up one day and said, never again will anyone manipulate me. And you're saying I should sit in a corner and be traumatized. I'm sorry, I don't buy it.
Those men knew what they did to me. They knew they tore me open and violated me. They knew I was sick and did nothing about it. They knew I was bleeding and did nothing about it. Did nothing. They just laughed about it. They bragged about it on television. They did things that people are in jail 15 and 20 years for at least, and they walk away without any scars, without facing the public, because the public always looks down on a woman. And we'll be back in just a moment.
I don't mind working hard, but I'll tell you how I feel. I work an honest day, and I want an honest deal.
If you're a cat lover, you know how important it is to feed them right.
Remarks to Jessica Hahn. I am a former victim of an acquaintance rape. In your beginning remarks, you spoke how she alleged the incident and how what you read in Playboy was as close to a rape as whatever you have heard of. Yeah. This woman was raped. You set the tone of the show by blaming the victim, as so many men and women are doing in your audience, and that you started out by doing. Jessica Hahn was a victim. I would like to tell her right now that whatever she did that night, she did right, because she is a survivor, and she is up there right now, and more power to her.
Thank you.
That's it.
Yeah. I accept your admonition. This audience is still mad at her. People who believe she was abused are still angry with her. Now, how do you figure that? Are you there, caller?
Can I say something?
Sure.
You know, first of all, when this thing broke, Jim Bakker broke this story on March 19th, okay? He got on the air and he resigned. Now, what was I going to do? Hide in my apartment? And this thing, I'm dealing with it publicly because it is a public thing. If this were being handled behind closed doors, then I would handle it behind closed doors. I have no choice but to deal with this publicly because it is a public story.
I don't think anybody's arguing that. It's
well,
the
they're
question.
saying I'm exploiting it. All I'm doing is telling my side of the story.
Jessica, how did you get into a room with two king-size beds and two men in the first place?
This is chapter 1 of this story now. Obviously, you're very bad at following this scandal.
This was a man who babysat for me. I babysat for him and his children. He invited me down to Florida. I went. I thought it was a privilege.
You were 20 at the time.
I was 20. This is 8 years ago, by the way.
Yes.
Jessica, how was the idea of Hush Money conceived? And when it stopped, is that when you blew the whistle, or what's the story behind it?
The whistle, first of all, the story broke it broke March. My money stopped. They stopped my money. I didn't blow the whistle on anybody. Again, Jim Bakker broke the story.
What's the question? Who approached you with the idea of the payoff?
Of the payoff?
Yeah. How did that surface?
With Paul Roper. He's the one who arranged everything. I don't understand the question.
He's the one that arranged it and acknowledged.
Oh, no, through a series of things, I requested that Paul Roper, or asked for Paul Roper's help.
Are you there, caller? Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
Jessica, before Fletcher and Baker tossed your body brutally, wasn't there one point in time when you could have put your hand on a doorknob and left that room, or picked up a phone and threatened to expose them?
No, I could not.
Do you think the wine that you were encouraged to drink was spiked?
I could tell you honestly that would not be fair to say that that's what happened. But I will tell you that after I drank that, I was not well.
Well, then why would it not be fair to say that?
Because I can't confirm it. I mean, I'm not like a scandal sheet like we read today. When I want to say something,
well, you seem to be very conscientious about this.
Because so many people have...
You say you were sick, you didn't know where you were, you crawled, you couldn't even walk.
I know.
So that sounds like somebody slipped you a Mickey.
If you want my opinion, I believe it was. I cannot confirm it. I didn't eat all that day, I didn't sleep, I was excited about the trip. Again, it can't be confirmed.
You wanted to say?
No, I can't believe that some of the men laughed here. But many women are in situations that they're taken advantage of, and by the circumstances, it's a type of rape.
Yes, but I do not have to tell you, old man who stands at the bar, that the Playboy pictures, and this is not to comment on their morality at all, I happen to have looked at them myself.
But
the Playboy pictures, if anything, diminishes her own public persona as victim. That's the problem.
Wait a minute, let me say something. Phil,
I'm not even saying that's right that it does. It's just a fact.
Who made the rules that when you're a victim you have to hide in a corner? Who made these rules? Wait a minute, why can't you go out and feel good about yourself 8 years later?
Yeah. What's the matter? Yeah, I don't have much time. Yeah.
I don't think that anybody is upset that this happened to you. I think a lot of us believe that you've been victimized. I think what happens is now we have second thoughts because we see pictures. I think if it was just the story in what you call a classy magazine, we would have a second thought about that. We would still feel on your side. I think it's the pictures that now we're having second thought. There's money involved, da-da-da-da.
Yeah. Well, I don't really think the pictures are all that bad. I really don't. Again, popular belief here. I think $1 million is $1 million. Go with it.
Yeah, what is it?
I was just wondering, when these type of incidents occur, why is it the men, rightfully or wrongfully, have been ruined, so to speak, and the women go on to reap the financial gains?
That's news to me.
Go ahead, caller. Are you there?
Yes, Phil.
Yes.
I'd like to know, you've had asked other celebrities, Goldie Hawn and what other celebrities, why do they do it? They always give you the answer, well, I'm not ashamed of my body, other reasons. Why can't they just come out and say, I did it for the money?
Yeah.
I mean, if I
You know what? Let me tell you something right now. I am not embarrassed about accepting money, and I'm not going to lie. And if you all have a problem with me accepting a generous amount of money, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can make a living.
How do you explain this feeling of negative
I guess
energy that you
it's confusion, and I guess maybe a little bit of jealousy. Not of me, no. I'm just saying, I'm not going to lie and sit up here and play Miss Noble that, I did it for a number of reasons. But I'll tell you, the money was there. It was a generous office. I've had other offers. But I remember when I had $40 in June, and no one came by, So if I accepted that money, then I'm sorry. I accepted it, and I don't feel bad about it.
Yes.
Even $1 million doesn't last forever. What are you going to do next year when people have forgotten about this?
I'll be able to have a little bit of peace in my life.
No, but what are you going to do for a living?
For a living, she'd like to know, do you have any career ambitions?
I really have a soft spot. You're not even going to believe this, but for the elderly. You're going to say it doesn't, but I really do. I'd like to be able to help maybe someday or start some kind of organization in a nursing home or do something of the sort.
I recommend you take the $1 million and invest it wisely in real estate or something, because when your name goes off the tabloids, that may very well be the end of it.
Well, I think she knows that. I mean, that's another, yeah.
I didn't read anything about your case, just what I heard on the news. But I want to know, why do you feel that you need an attorney with you all the time?
First of all, when I was on the Donahue show a few months back, Phil Donahue said, "I can't believe you have no representative. I really can't." Well, I listened to that, and I talked to Howard Stern, and he said, "Jessica, get somebody, you know." I'm sorry. I have to tell you. No, I'm sorry, but Howard Stern is somebody that's helped me out. No,
What's the matter?
No, let me finish answering my question.
Howard Stern, we should say, is a morning radio personality.
Yeah, and he's also one of the only people that called me and said, "Jessica, how are you? Are you okay? And is there anything I can do for you?" This is even off the air. So I'm sorry, but I appreciate the man.
I just want to explain the convulsion here. That,
Dominic here.
They do not perceive him as an altar boy because of the nature of his program.
Dominic, I consider as my miracle. I picked up a paper, saw his name, called him, and he's here because I've spent too much time alone doing this, and finally now I have somebody with me.
Briefly. I want to know why you felt the church would be better off by you not saying anything about Jim Bakker raping you. I mean, I think the church would be better off finding...
Blow the whistle.
Yeah.
This is what they told me, and I wanted...
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Jessica, don't you feel that the action that has happened, the sensationalism, has sort of compromised when the next rape victim comes about?
I pray to God that she has the strength to not lay back and let her become a slave to that incident, that she can go forward and feel like she's still loved, and that people will understand, and she will not feel guilty, and she will not feel like a victim for the rest of her life.
And she should be held accountable just as anyone else, and it shouldn't be germane. I think what's troublesome here is that after the fact, it shouldn't... What matters is what happened to you.
Exactly.
And there's a great deal of rage out there that I think there are people watching who are mad at this audience because what they perceive to be an insensitive attitude toward a person that was really manhandled at a very young age, at a time... Now, this is...
Exactly, Phil. This is when I was 21, I'm 28. I've grown up, you know. It didn't happen yesterday. It took me a long time. I want people to know that there's a way out. No matter what situation you're in, you're going to come out okay.
Going forward, Jessica, I'd just like to say I'm a local banker, and if you need help in investing your funds wisely, I'm here. Thanks.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Every winter day, a ritual takes place in homes, bundling up kids to go outside. But no amount of bundling can stop the cold completely. That's why there's Malt-O-Meal hot cereal, double flavored with wheat and malt to taste great and help keep kids warm on the inside.
I think I need some more Malt-O-Meal.
Bundle up on the inside with Malt-O-Meal.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious, Jessica, after that terrible experience that you had and you were able to think a little bit, did you seek any medical help, like go to a hospital in case you might be impregnated?
I didn't. I did nothing. I was just petrified to do anything.
You did worry about pregnancy, and you said
sure.
so out loud.
I thought I was walking around with...
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, the beloved press is here. Take their picture for us here. This is some kind of story. The notebooks are out, and the shorthand is going. Are you upset at media, Jessica? How do you think you've been...
You know what, I wish that... the media has been great in some areas, but you know what? Sometimes I wish that you would just report the news and not create it. You know, there are some stories that are just created because they need a headline, and that annoys me. But in other areas, you know, people need to know what's happening. I understand that, and most of them have been fair.
How's the attorney at law feel about this IRS inquiry?
Well, the investigation is taking place in Albany is not as Jessica is a target. Jessica's filed her tax returns. She has no problems at all.
Well, there is an well, then why would two alleged former boyfriends be obliged to testify?
I don't want to get into too much, but let me suggest that she's not the target, and you'll see later as it develops. But she has no problems with taxes, state or federal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have there been any offers from Hollywood, television movie a week, anything like that?
We've had offers from different movie studios, from TV channels for TV movies, from books.
Running out of time.
Have you had healthy relationships? Did you have healthy relationships during the 8 years that you kept the secret?
How are you emotionally in that sense? Are you able to relate to a male, etc.?
Sure.
How about... Well, you don't deny you were... You present as a person who at 20 had a rather arrested sexual maturation. True?
Correct.
That apparently has been healed and restored over the past 8 years.
Sure.
Is the caller there? Go ahead.
Yes, hello. I'd just like to say that when I was 16, I was raped by a friend. He had a gun and he beat me very badly. And I never said anything about it. But there is not enough money in this world that he could have offered me that I would accept, because that would mean that I'm saying that it's okay that he did that to me.
Well, she's...
I don't understand. I didn't understand.
Well, for him to even presume to make this right by giving her money would have been a further insult, she's saying. So she wonders how you could have accepted money from the organization that this man headed.
Jerry Falwell just took over a $172 ministry. You know, everybody's collected on this and are paying their bills. I'm not saying I collected on it. I just went out and I decided to take a step, and the offer was very generous, and I accepted that also.
It is also a curiosity that a flower would have altered the course of PTL. This is now, I don't know why they're laughing. I don't mean this to be funny. I am making an inquiry about what you have said to Playboy and to us on the occasion of your last visit to our program. It was the use and abuse and discard nature of this sexual tryst that seems to have you enraged. You got not any kind of, there wasn't the remotest nicety about this. And you are also saying if he had come out to a black person trying to be white. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I think that's a real need.